Joining me right now with all of this is former Secretary of State and Fox News contributor Mike Pompeo. Secretary, thanks very much for being with us on this important day, and it certainly feels like things are getting more dangerous by the moment. How do you assess things?
I think that's true. I think that's true for multiple reasons, that the risk is greater today than it was even 8 days ago, that we'll see escalation, in large part because the context that was set by the Biden administration creates an incredible conundrum, and when they can't simply acknowledge that this is Iran as the correct address to solve this problem. Second, we know that the Ayatollah has been planning this effort. I saw today reporting that Qasem Soleimani, the man that we actually took off the playing field, was involved in planning this operation back in 2019 and 2020. And yet the administration still says there's no direct evidence. I suppose they'd need a video of the Ayatollah actually pulling the trigger on a artillery round for them to admit there was direct evidence. We know who did this. This was Iran. The response must be against Iran, and this will continue, whether from the Houthis in Yemen or the Shia militias in Iraq or sleeper cells in Denver or Houston. This will continue to emanate. This terror will continue to emanate until Iran is put in its place, and that's the task that's in front of all of us. I'm confident Israel will do its part on the ground in Gaza Strip, but we've got to get this right at this moment.
But Iran is pursuing nuclear weapons, as we know, and we've been hearing how close they are to that prospect now for many years. I don't know how close they are, but how does that fit into your thinking?
So the Iranians are very close to having sufficient enrichment capability. They still don't have a weapons program. There's work to do there for sure. But look, Maria, here's the deal. You got to confront this. If we permit the Iranians to get a nuclear weapon, there'll be multiple nuclear weapon states in the Middle East. That is really bad for the United States of America. And what our administration did is they walked in on day one and they told the Houthis in Yemen, you're no longer terrorists. We had designated them as terrorists. They said these Iranian proxies in Yemen aren't terrorists. They then said we're not going to enforce oil sanctions because we have a green climate agenda and we're going to have oil prices through the roof, gas prices through the roof. So we're going to let the Iranians ship their oil all across the world. They were about 400,000 barrels a day being shipped when I left office. They're 3.5 or 4 million barrels a day being shipped as we sit here this morning. That's a lot of money to foment terror and build out your nuclear weapons program. Now, the challenge the Biden administration has is they can't admit failure. When Jake Sullivan said 8 days before the attack, hey, the Middle East is pretty stable, it's pretty quiet, he now has to go back and say, turns out we were just wrong. We took our eye off the ball. We screwed this up. We played footsie with the Iranians, tried to get back in a deal. We underwrote them by funding the Palestinians through UNRWA. We gave money to the very terrorists who killed 29 Americans. We think about this and the horror to the Israeli people. 29 Americans, Maria, are dead. A dozen or more held hostage as we sit here today. That is indecent, and the Biden administration needs to move away from its policy of appeasement of Iran and immediately invoke snapback on JCPOA. Next week or the week after, Iran will lawfully be permitted to develop their missile program because this administration tried to get back in the JCPOA. We need to reimpose enforcement of the very sanctions that worked to cripple the Iranian regime's capacity to do harm. We have many tools we can use, Maria. This administration has just chosen not to do that.
Why? Why not?
You know, I can't answer that question. They'll have to live with this themselves. What took place there that day, the indecency, the horrors of barbarism that took place with these Hamas terrorists under the direction of Iran killing thousands of people. They'll have to explain why they decided that what had been built, greater peace, greater prosperity in the region, partnering with our friends in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and in the United Arab Emirates and in Bahrain, why they decided, nope, we're going to call the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia a pariah. We're not going to invite Prime Minister Netanyahu to the White House. We're going to take up a leftist agenda, somehow saying that the Palestinians have been wronged and that Israel is an occupying nation. That was Biden administration policy for its first 2.5 years. And the responsibility is Iran's. But the conditions that were set were certainly enabled by an administration that didn't understand who our friends were and who our enemies were in the region.
This is incredibly disturbing, and this morning it is underlined with this scoop from Axios that is saying Iran has warned Israel through the UN against any ground offensive in Gaza. Israel has been very clear. They're dropping leaflets. They're telling the citizens to get out of the way. It's coming. And yet Iran says if it does come, you will face an earthquake. What does that mean? How should we read this Iranian message?
You know, I hear folks on campuses across America and the left, often anti-Semitic folks, saying, stop the carnage. We have to stop the carnage. Sign me up. We've got to stop the carnage. I agree with that. The way to stop the carnage is to eliminate the terrorists, to eliminate those who beheaded babies, who raped grandmas, who took Holocaust survivors as hostages and are continuing to hold them and apparently have already killed some of them. Sign me up for stopping the carnage. One must stop the carnage by acknowledging that there is evil in the world. That evil today emanates from the Ayatollah and his theocrats in Tehran. And so Israel needs to go eliminate the threat inside of Gaza. The United States needs to do its part. And when the Iranians make the threat that you describe, when they say, if you go take down terrorists, if you actually protect and defend your own nation's sovereignty, we're going to double down. The United States has the capacity to speak directly to the Iranian regime and make clear that is unacceptable. I know that, Maria. I know that can be done. We did it in our administration. When they began to threaten American lives, we were very clear about what we would do. Not 29 American lives, as we've lost, but a single American life. We were very clear, and when we did, the Iranians understood real power, American power, and that's what the Biden administration needs to demonstrate. Yeah, unfortunately, by the time Joe Biden got settled in the Oval Office, you weren't even allowed to remember the words. Abraham Accords. Very quickly, Secretary, before we go, much of what you've just said, based on history, the administration is not going to do. Give us a realistic expectation of what we should think about this war and how it unfolds. Well, I think we're going to see the Israelis do what they need to do to defend themselves. And I'm hopeful. I hold out hope that the Biden administration, combined with some very wise folks in the Middle East, will find a way to prevent this from escalating into something that's even worse. It's in no one's interest for this to escalate. It's not in the interest of the people of Lebanon, where Hezbollah resides. It's not in the interest of the Gulf states to see this begin to move across borders in ways that present risk to their own people as well. I am hopeful that the Biden administration can find a foothold in a way that it just simply has not been able to do so far, to keep this from spiraling into a place where you could see things not just in the Middle East, but in Islamic countries around the world. And indeed, we all know this. We had someone killed in Paris yesterday, or perhaps it was the day before. We could see violence all around the world. This can be stopped. This is not inevitable. The Iranians are not 10 feet tall. We know how to address this with real power, and that's the task that lays ahead for American leadership. Secretary, thank you. Thank you so much. Former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo. Have a great day. Thank you, sir. Yes, ma'am. And to you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brian Kilmeade. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to click to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page. This is the only way that I know for sure that you're not going to miss any great commentary, any great news bites, any great interviews coming your way on Fox. You can get it all here on YouTube. So subscribe right now.